there, Auto Intelligence listeners. Steve here, ready to dive into the seismic shifts rocking the global auto industry. Whether you're sipping coffee or stuck in traffic, today's episode is all about China's automotive revolution, a story that's rewriting the rules of the road.
And I'm Claire. By now you've probably heard the headlines. China's not just the world's largest car market, it's the fastest, smartest, and most disruptive. But how did we get here? What's fueling this rise, and what does it mean for drivers, dealers, and automakers worldwide? Let's unpack it all.
Today we're covering everything from battery breakthroughs to policy masterstrokes, price wars to global takeovers. Buckle up. This is Auto Intelligence, and we will be discussing the evolution in the Chinese auto industry from Mao to Megafactories. Let's rewind a bit. China's auto journey really kicked off in 1953 with the state-owned FAW, which was all about trucks and fulfilling Mao's vision of industrial self-reliance. For a long time, if you saw a car on the street, it probably belonged to a government official.
But things started to change in the 1980s. Deng Xiaoping's reforms opened the doors to foreign automakers, but with a twist you had to partner with a local Chinese firm. That move turned out to be brilliant because it brought in modern technology and management know-how, and it set the stage for the boom that followed.
By the early 2000s, private car ownership was exploding. In 2009, China actually overtook the US as the world's largest auto market. But with all those new cars came a new problem: smog-choked cities and a huge reliance on imported oil. That's when China started pushing hard on what they call new energy vehicles, or NEVs.
And let's be honest, the government didn't just encourage this shift, they practically mandated it. Subsidies, tax breaks, and quotas made NEVs a national priority. By 2023, China was responsible for about 60% of global EV sales. It wasn't just about cleaning up the air, it was about taking the lead.
Bill Russo, CEO of Automobility, summed it up perfectly. China's auto sector is a case study in strategic planning. They turned pollution panic into industrial policy, and now they're exporting that model globally.
Let's talk numbers because the stats are wild. In just the first quarter of 2025, China sold over 5 million vehicles. That's a 4% jump compared to last year, and nearly half of those were NEVs. We're talking about electric and plug-in hybrid cars making up almost 50% of all retail sales.
And when you look at exports, the story gets even more impressive. Chery alone shipped out more than 1 million vehicles last year, and that number jumped by 21%. In March 2025, BYD sold more than 370,000 units, which is a 23% increase year on year. Geely wasn't far behind, with over 230,000 units sold, a 51% leap.
Chery is absolutely dominating exports, and Xiaomi's SU7, which only launched recently, has already shot up the sales charts. In April alone, they sold over 35,000 units, a 273% increase from last year.
And here's something to chew on. Chinese-made car exports surged by nearly 11% at the start of this year. NEVs now make up almost a third of those exports. BYD is now the second largest exporter, right behind Chery. Meanwhile, Tesla's exports from China have dropped by almost half, a sign that even the big foreign players are feeling the heat.
So what's giving China this edge? It's all about vertical integration. Take BYD, for example. They make their own batteries, their own chips, and they're even involved in mining the lithium that goes into those batteries. KTL, another giant, just launched a battery that can give you more than 300 miles of range after just 5 minutes of charging. That's a game changer.
And let's talk about lithium iron phosphate, or LFP, batteries. These are safer, cheaper, and last longer than the nickel-cobalt batteries you see in many Western cars. Right now, almost 3/4 of all battery installs in China are LFP. According to John Helveston from George Washington University, the cost savings here aren't incremental, they're existential. China's scale has redefined what's possible.
But it's not just about what powers the car. Chinese EVs are basically smart devices on wheels. XPeng's AI Tianji system uses generative AI to simulate driving scenarios, and Geely's Zeekr 001 sedan has a cockpit powered by a Qualcomm 8295 chip-think gaming PC, but in your dashboard.
And the speed of development is just staggering. Chinese automakers can go from concept to production in about 18 months. That's half the time it takes most Western companies. Stephen Ma, who heads up Nissan's China operations, said, "We knew China moved fast, but this It's a whole new tempo.
Let's put some faces to these numbers. BYD is the clear titan here. Last year, they sold over 4 million vehicles, including nearly 2 million pure electric cars. Their Seagull model is so affordable and popular, it's outselling the Volkswagen Golf on a global scale.
Geely is right on their heels. Their Xingyuan EV actually outsold Tesla's Model 3 in the first quarter. And don't forget, Geely owns Volvo, which gives them a huge global footprint.
And then there's Xiaomi. You probably know them for smartphones, but their SU7 car is making waves. In April, they sold over 35,000 units, a massive jump compared to last year. It just goes to show that the line between tech company and automaker is getting really blurry.
But it's not all smooth sailing. The competition is fierce and price wars are brutal. More than a dozen brands folded last year. Even BYD, with all its success, is feeling the squeeze on profit margins. Jun Su from JD Power China put it best, profitability is the next frontier. Survival means mastering cost control and brand loyalty.
None of this happened by accident. The Chinese government has been the ultimate backseat driver, steering the industry every step of the way. They've poured over $230 billion into NEV subsidies since 2009. That's helped build a nationwide charging network with more than 10 million charging points, so range anxiety, pretty much a thing of the past in China.
And the export push is just as aggressive. Exporters get tax rebates, and the Belt and Road Initiative is opening up new markets all over Asia, Africa, and Europe. The government's next big move is the 15th five-year plan, which will focus on AI-driven manufacturing and making the supply chain even more resilient.
Reggie Zhang, a policy analyst, says we should keep an eye on low-altitude vehicles, think air taxis. Shenzhen is set to launch pilot programs by 2026, and the dual credit policy is a masterstroke. If you don't hit your NEV sales targets, you have to buy credits from companies like BYD. That's a clever way to fund even more innovation.
Let's talk about the global ripple effect. Europe has slapped 25% tariffs on Chinese EVs, and the US has banned not just TikTok, but also BYD buses. But China's not backing down. They're building factories in Hungary and Mexico to get around those tariffs. BYD's $1.3 billion plant in Hungary is a big deal, and Chery's new factory in Mexico could let them reach the US market without the usual import taxes.
Meanwhile, the old guard is struggling. Volkswagen's China sales dropped 5.5% in the first quarter, and Toyota barely grew at all. Zhang Yongwei from China EV100 says, "Foreign brands misread the market. They bet on loyalty over innovation. Now they're paying the price."
So, what's next? The future is bright, but there are some big challenges ahead. For starters, there's overcapacity. Chinese factories can build about 40 million vehicles a year, but demand is closer to 30 million. That means some brands are going to be left behind.
Then there's the question of branding. Can names like NIO or XPeng become as familiar as Ford or Toyota in places like Berlin or Boston? That's going to take more than just good cars. It's about building trust and recognition.
And don't forget the tech Cold War. The US is banning Chinese batteries and chips, which could disrupt supply chains. But at the same time, we're seeing a wave of collaboration. CATL is licensing its LFP battery patents to Ford, so your next F-150 might have a little bit of China under the hood.
There are also huge opportunities. AI-defined vehicles are the next big thing. Li Xiang, CEO of Li Auto, predicts that by 2030, cars will be able to update their own software, negotiate traffic using blockchain, and even earn money for their owners by ride-sharing when they're parked.
And let's not overlook the global south. BYD's $20,000 Dolphin EV is a hit in Thailand and Brazil, and Chery's Tiggo SUVs are everywhere in the Middle East. Bill Russo says China's offering the West high-tech and the rest high-value a 1-2 punch.
Let's dig a little deeper into what really sets China apart. First, it's the sheer speed of innovation. In the West, a new car platform might take 4 or 5 years to develop. In China, it's often done in under 2. That means they can react to trends, tech, and consumer demands almost in real time.
Second, it's the integration of tech and manufacturing. Chinese automakers aren't just building cars, they're building ecosystems. Think about it. BYD makes batteries, builds the cars, and even runs the buses and monorails in some cities. Xiaomi already had a massive consumer electronics ecosystem before launching their car.
Third, China's supply chain mastery is on another level. They control the mining, refining, and manufacturing of key materials like lithium, cobalt, and graphite. That gives them cost advantages and supply security that other countries just can't match.
And finally, it's the government's willingness to experiment. From pilot zones for autonomous vehicles to subsidies for battery swapping, China is constantly testing new ideas at scale. Some fail, but the ones that work get rolled out nationwide almost overnight.
Let's talk about what this means for drivers. Chinese cars are packed with features that used to be reserved for luxury models. Think panoramic screens, AI voice assistants, and advanced driver assist systems, all at prices that undercut the competition.
And the user experience is different too. In China, it's common to buy a car entirely online, have it delivered to your door, and manage everything from financing to service through an app. That's a level of digital integration that most Western brands are still struggling to match.
Even after the sale, the experience is high-tech. Over-the-air updates mean your car can get new features and bug fixes without ever visiting a dealer. Some brands even offer subscription services for things like autonomous driving or in-car entertainment.
It's not just about the car, it's about the ecosystem. From charging networks to ride-hailing partnerships, Chinese automakers are building a whole mobility experience.
So where is this all heading? China's automakers are moving from being exporters to being global players. They're building factories in Europe, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. They're partnering with local companies, adapting their cars to local tastes, and investing in branding and marketing like never before.
They're also moving up market. NIO, for example, is positioning itself as a luxury brand in Europe with swanky showrooms and battery swapping stations. BYD is launching premium models that compete head-to-head with Tesla, Mercedes, and BMW.
And they're not just selling cars, they're selling technology. Chinese battery makers are partnering with Ford, Volkswagen, and others. Software platforms developed in China are powering vehicles around the world.
The playbook is clear. Dominate at home, expand abroad, and set the pace for the industry. As Andrew Baum from Alex Partners said, failure to adapt to these evolving trends could lead traditional automakers towards obsolescence.
Let's take a few more listener questions. Raj from Toronto asks, will we see more Chinese cars in North America soon?
Great question, Raj. With new plants in Mexico and aggressive export strategies, it's likely, but regulatory hurdles and tariffs are still big obstacles. That said, the tech and design influence is already here. Just look at how quickly Western brands are adopting features pioneered in China.
Sophie from London asks, are Chinese cars safe and reliable?
Absolutely. Many Chinese models now meet or exceed European safety standards. Brands like NIO and BYD have scored high marks in crash tests, and their warranties are competitive with anything on the market.
And finally, Lucas from Sydney wonders, will the price wars in China mean cheaper cars for the rest of us?
In the long run, yes. The intense competition in China is driving down costs and forcing everyone to up their game. That means more affordable, better-equipped cars for consumers worldwide. So there you have it, the rise of China's auto industry, from humble beginnings to global powerhouse. It's a story of ambition, innovation, and relentless execution.
Whether you're Team Tesla, Team BYD, or just Team I want a great car at a great price, the future of driving is being shaped by what's happening in China right now.
Auto Intelligence is produced by Automatic, a pioneering AI-driven platform transforming the automotive retail industry. Founded in 2024, Automatic delivers intelligent, adaptive solutions designed to help dealerships streamline operations, optimize sales performance, and elevate the customer experience.
Automatic is LLM agnostic and deeply trained in the auto industry. What's critically important is that Automatic is built to enhance your team's abilities and performance, not replace them. That's why they're known as the most human AI company in the automotive space.
Visit them at autoagentic.ai.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and send your questions to Barry at autoagentic.ai. Until next time, keep your eyes on the road and your mind on the future.